Welcome to this final lesson in our Getting Started with Sami course. In this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to make sure your SAMs are firing properly. We're going to talk about how to review the activity logs and kind of do that due diligence so you have that confidence that everything is working as you intended. So to show you, I actually have a real example I want to walk you through. So this is an example of a SAM that was launched for a client that's focusing on their conference campaigns. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to pause any ads that haven't generated any ticket sales. So you can see here the details. It's focusing on LinkedIn. And what we're doing is if cost is greater than 350 and ticket purchase is less than 1, then those ads will get flagged for not having any tickets and it's going to get shut off. So what I am going to do now is I am going to go into the activity logs. And here in the activity logs, this is where I can search by my SAM name, category, channel, rule name, all of the different things that I can use to kind of filter down to what I want. If you're working in a workspace with other people, you can also filter by owners, so you can filter for yourself only and only see your activity. And you could also filter by channels and then finally categories. Now, depending on the SAM that you've created and the way you constructed your rule. So for instance, if you created a rule where you want manual approval, where you have to give the final say on if the rule will run or not, an easy way to find those rules, if you click pending approvals only, this will filter the activity logs even further and only show you the activity logs that are pending some sort of approval. So now what you can do is you can click into the rule. You can double click into the SAM. So now it'll tell me I have one ad in this case that is eligible to get paused. And then what I can do is I can drill down even further. And now I can see the specific name of the campaign, the rule that was set up. So in this case, it was engagement rate less than my average engagement rate and impressions greater than 1,000. And then here I can understand, okay, this is why it's eligible for me to actually pause this ad in this instance. So in this case, my average engagement rate is 0.86%. And my results came in around 0.83. So my ad is underneath my average as an example. So this now I would just click approve for that final say if I have manual approval selected. And then now Sami will apply the change on the next time that it runs. So let's go back to our example here for society. So in this case, I'm not actually using manual approvals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search my SAM name. So it kind of starts with this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up here my SAM that got triggered. And then now I can see this is the SAM that I created, the SAM name. I can drill into it further. In this case, I've got 2 ads that are eligible to get paused because they had no ticket sales. I can drill down even more. And now I can see, okay, these 2 ads, I can see exactly the specific creative IDs. So if I want to look these up in the ad platform, I can. So I can go open up the ad manager, search the creative ID, and I can see exactly which creative IDs are being referenced. And in this case, you can see I have the rule cost greater than 350, ticket purchase less than 1 based on a custom conversion event. And I can see here I spent $355. I didn't get any ticket sales. I spent $357. I didn't get any ticket sales. So it's going to get shut off. So here in the success section of the activity log, this is where you'll see all of the SAMs and the rules that successfully met your conditions. So whatever you put inside the rule builder, Sami is looking out for you and it's checking that for you. And once your ad or your campaign or whatever your scope is met your condition successfully, it will then appear here. And depending on if you have manual approval or not, you will have that added benefit of being able to approve your rules. If you're not using manual approval, then you'll just be notified of all the things that are happening here. If you also have Slack notifications set up, you'll also be getting Slack notified instantaneously the moment that the SAM is triggered as well. So it's always kind of like this full circle loop. So you're always in the know of when are these things happening, even if you're not inside of the Sami platform. Errors, this is where you can see any errors, anything that went wrong with your SAMs. So for instance, this doesn't happen very often, but for context, like let's say you have a rule created where you have certain campaigns selected and those campaigns are actually no longer available. Maybe they got removed inside the ad platform. That could cause an error. Or for instance, maybe you're no longer working with certain clients and you still have certain SAMs active and those rules are running. and now Sami saw the condition happened and it's no longer able to make the action because you don't have access to those accounts anymore, that could cause an error. So this is just if something went wrong, you'll be notified and let know of like, hey, check out your SAM, check out your rule, review your scope, something might be off here. And then finally is pending. I think this one is one of the most important, second most important outside of success. And pending is basically telling you if the rule is running properly in the background. So for instance, I just launched my first SAM. If you've been following along with this course, maybe you launched your budget protection SAM and now you're like, great, is it working? Is it doing something? So basically, you can come here into the logs and then you'll be able to see your SAM processed under the pending section. And that'll give you the confidence and the reassurance that yes, Sami is working. It is checking your account. It just, your rule hasn't been successfully met yet. So for instance, if we did that budget protection SAM, we're on the first step, we need to spend 80% of our budget. You will see that SAM being processed here. But because you haven't actually spent 80% of your budget, it's not successful yet. So it won't show up here. It'll just show up here under pending until it successfully meets your condition. So for example, if I search my society one and I drill in, I can see here, this SAM was processed, today, and it was processed at this time frame. So depending on the frequency that you set up your rules, the amount of frequency in terms of how often you see the SAM processing will change. So for example, if I'm running my rule every hour, then every hour I'm going to see more SAMs getting processed inside of my activity log. If I'm running it once a day, then that SAM will only get processed once a day, right? If I'm doing it once a month, so on and so forth. So for example, if I launch my SAM and I set my frequency to every hour, it happens at the top of the hour. So let's say it's 11 a.m. or let's just say it's like 11:01 a.m. And I just launched my SAM. Then at 12 p.m., the first time the SAM will get triggered and then it'll run. So then you'll be able to see it here. So also keep that in mind of like what your frequency is for this, because if you have like once a day frequency, well, that means you have to wait once a day, right? Until Sami is going to run that process and check your rules based on your conditions, and then it'll show up here. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any more questions on Sami, definitely feel free to plug in and get into our Sami Legends community with our users, and you can ask questions in an intimate format in Slack. Outside of that, you can definitely reach out to us via our support chat. And I hope this course has been helpful for you to just get started with Sami as easily as possible and really start to take the first big step into ad automation so that you can really scale performance, improve capacity, and just master ads across channels in a much more effective way. I'll see you in the next one.